AskRedd by Walter Walsh. Which billionaire or millionaire has actually done good to the community? Chuck Feeney, the former owner of the duty-free stores at airports. He gave away billions and only has like a few mil to his name. He gave away over $8 billion over decades and anonymously too. Think he only set aside $2 million for him and his wife to retire on and donated everything else. Truly one of a kind. A historical British millionaire, James Smithson, donated 100,000 gold crowns, the equivalent of $500,000 at the time, when he died in 1838, to the US people specifically for the increase and diffusion of knowledge. Congress kept trying to come up with ways to spend it, which were all blocked by former President John Quincy Adams, who was post-presidency the elected congressman from Massachusetts. JQA kept saying the vision to use the gift was too short-sighted. What ultimately he endorsed was the formation of the Smithsonian Institution that remains a center of learning and knowledge nearly 200 years later. I had no idea the founder and namesake of the Smithsonian was a Brit. Thanks for a good read. Sal Khan of Khan Academy. There should be more like him in the universe. Man got me, a first-gen college graduate, through high school and into college. Always loved the videos with his voice and personality. Chef Jose Andres started World Central Kitchen, which goes to areas that have been hit by natural disasters, etc. to help feed the residents. They literally have boots on the ground within hours of events happening all over the world. I volunteered for them in New Orleans for a bit during various parts of the pandemic. That group is seriously awesome and genuinely dedicated to doing good. I work for the Michael J. Fox Foundation and Michael has done a hell of a good job mobilizing support for this disease. Over $1 billion raised. Edit for clarity, this disease was me referring to Parkinson's. MJF was diagnosed at 29 years old and he is now 62. Deleted. Paul Newman. I volunteered at his cancer camp Hole in the Wall gang camp in the early 2000s for a few years. He was always present at special events and the nicest person ever to all staff. Newman Zone was started so the camp had lasting funding after he passed, and although I'm aware the company has passed hands to greedier folks, the camp is still running. Admission for all sick children is free. Every year he would host a gala where he invited his celebrity friends to do a play with the kids. I met Bruce Willis, Whoopi Goldberg and a bunch of other actors there. He did a lot to ensure these kids has the best experiences in their remaining lives. Peter Seidler. He was the owner of the San Diego Padres, but put a lot of money and more importantly his own time to fight homelessness in our community. He would walk the streets and buy food and talk to the homeless, even during the pandemic, to learn how the money in his foundations, Lucky Duck Foundation, would better serve them. He made the city leaders meet every Tuesday morning to discuss how they could help the homeless in San Diego. He not only donated millions of dollars, he was active in understanding how that money was spent to best help who needed it most. Every interview I ever heard the man speak, he would bring up these efforts instead of only talking about baseball or the fact he was battling cancer 3 times over. Also, it was like having a fan own our baseball team and he dressed like one too. He will be sorely missed in our community. Was reportedly the backbone of the owner group that opposed Oakland losing the A's, who then immediately gave up after he passed. Seemed like a good dude, especially as far as rich guys go. Dolly Parton. 100%. I just had a baby girl and apparently she has this program where they will send your child a book every month for like 5 years for free. Edit. Here is a link to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. It will let you know if it's available in your state and if so you can sign up for free. https://imaginationlibrary.com/ John Green and Hank Green. They are millionaires that have used their social position to raise thousands among thousands of dollars for charity, Hank's cancer socks, support tuberculosis efforts. John Green spoke to the UN, improve the health system in Sierra Leone, and more, alongside curating an educational YouTube channel that helps millions of students. Crash Course. Also worth mentioning that they host a 48-hour charity live stream every year that raises millions of dollars. Chuck Feeney gave away 99% of his $8 billion wealth, leaving for himself $2M and X200B. Who gave it all. That's 99.975% of his wealth that he gave away, then. Mariska Hargitay with her work to end the backlog of testing rape kits, as well as all the work with her Joyful Heart Foundation that she's done. I had completely forgot about this. She's awesome. George Lucas, most of that $4 billion he sold Star Wars to Disney for went into an educational charity, edited for typo. I really want to believe that George is playing the long con. He knew Disney was going to run the brand into the ground and he could buy it back in 15 years for a fraction of what he sold it for. Regains control of his baby, his legacy. Hypes up fans again for the new possibilities, and make a couple bill on the side for charity. It's a win for everybody, well, except Disney. Gary Sinise. A true hero for people. His foundation raised $300 million for wounded soldiers, first responders and their families. That's Lieutenant Dan for ya. Number 1 wealthiest man in the entire world, Andrew Carnegie, is responsible for creation of public libraries in USA that we all take for granted today. Before, people had their own books and it was mostly wealthy or upper middle class people. Working class had little to none and good portion are illiterate. Best way to help people to be successful is knowledge. Not just the US. My town has a Carnegie library and I'm in rural Ontario, Canada. Chuck Feeney. Chuck Feeney is undoubtedly up there. Gave away almost all of his once $8 billion or more fortune while he was still alive and only kept $2 million to live off after he did that. Was renting a place to live as well. Shahzada Dawood from Pakistan, who passed away in the ill-fated submersible Titan, with his son and AMP. 3 others, had been super charitable with his money. Free treatment for kidney and liver ailments, access to education for underprivileged children, financial contribution to environmental causes, science and AMP, technology, research in these fields, and so much more. Last year? This year? Don't give me a heart attack. Jeffrey Libotsky and his little urban achievers. Grown men also cry. Fucking A. Mackenzie Scott. Should be higher. She divorced Bezos, rubbed her hands together, and started giving. Mark Cuban for sure. What he's doing to get people affordable prescription medication is changing the game. Cost plus drugs is phenomenal. Jimmy Carter has a net worth of 10 million. Does that count? Eradicated guinea worm from Africa. Jimmy Carter's post-presidency, https://en.wikipedia.org/post-presidency_of_Jimmy_Carter is amazing. After he left office, Carter returned to Georgia to his peanut farm, which he had placed into a blind trust during his presidency to avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest. He found that the trustees had mismanaged the trust, leaving him more than $1 million in debt. And the man didn't let that slow him down. He traveled extensively to conduct peace negotiations, monitor elections and further the eradication of infectious diseases. He and his wife Rosalind are key figures in Habitat for Humanity. Carter wrote numerous books and continued to comment on global affairs, including 2 books on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, in which he criticized Israel's treatment of Palestinians as apartheid. He and Rosalind received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1999. Jose and Rest donates tons of food to poor and disaster-stricken areas. It is estimated that Bill Gates has saved about 50 million lives with his $250 million investment into malaria prevention. His toilet accessibility initiative is also astounding in the sheer number of lives he has changed. Yvon Chouinard, founder of Patagonia, chose to donate the billion-dollar company to an environmental trust rather than list the business publicly. And Patagonia is legit as producers of cold weather gear. George Kaiser, Tulsa, has provided funding for the Gathering Place in Tulsa, early childhood programs including EDICA, community redevelopment in and around downtown Tulsa. Joe Kraft provided funding for Gathering Place as well along with other projects in Tulsa and has donated to the University of Kentucky for different projects. Dolly Parton. John Bon Jovi. I love what he is doing with his restaurants for the homeless. It's not just about food, it's also about treating people with dignity. Pearl Jam. A few years ago they did a series of shows where all the money went to help the homeless in Seattle. I believe they raised about $73 million just from those shows alone. And they have done lots of other charity work. Bill Gates is donating millions and millions for research into orphans' diseases. Diseases with just a few hundred or thousand cases worldwide. So Big Pharma says no, we're not doing any research, the market is too small, no money in it for us. That's where the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation steps in and says we finance it. Go. Hats off. I feel nothing but respect. Completely agree. The B&M Foundation has given over $250 million to fight malaria, but yet we still have Bob off Facebook telling us how he created COVID and implanted chips in the vaccine. What a world we live in. John and Hank. Hank and John Green. Ratan Tata. Could hit 100 billion sooner than Bezos or Musk. 66% of profits generated Tata Group goes straight to philanthropy. Pity everyone who works them gets treated like shit. Mark Cuban has been fighting off Big Pharma for years now. Mackenzie Scott, ex-wife of Bezos. Nothing but charity since the divorce, donating a lot of the money she got from the divorce. MR Beast. I think no matter if you like it that he monetizes the surgeries or donations, it is still something good he is doing. My opinion of him has gone up and down over time, and yeah, I find his videos annoying. But at the same time he's showing kids that you can be cool and get attention for doing good things. There are so many people out there getting attention by doing mean pranks or just being hostile, and kids need those good influences that can be dramatic and exciting.